And we're live. This is Julien Jean-Pierre from the Royal St. Lucie Seamoss Company, live and direct from St. Lucia. I'm so excited to be here, and it's been a little while. Haven't been on live stream since like last Wednesday, skipped the Sunday, and I said I was going to do a restream on Monday. Didn't, you know, is what it is. That's the Seamoss life. I love it. And yeah, I was going to try and do a morning sunrise to watch, but unfortunately, the weather wasn't cooperating with us. It's very common in St. Lucia for it to rain in the morning. And so this morning did not disappoint. It rained really hard, and I was tired. And so I looked at it and said, hell no, am I going out there in the rain? Like for what? To film about, you guys bad weather. Now, forget that. I am now, and I can't deny it. I'm a little tired. It's at like late, 1 o'clock. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of yawning. So I actually did a live stream last night on Instagram, just because I wanted to test out the new gear that I got. I don't know if you guys have noticed, especially those on YouTube and Facebook. The picture is amazing, and that's because we splurged and we invested in a new laptop for the company, and so I'm using that now to do the live streams. And yeah, it is what it is. So let's get into it. What do you guys want to talk about today? To be honest, I probably won't be on here too long, just because there's a breakfast. So I want to make sure I try to get that. Sorry, I'm trying to remember my password for filling my account, and I just might have to reset my password. Yeah, I'll do it later. Oh, so can I see the chat? Is anybody commenting? Oh, good morning, Renee. Good morning. Going through the question here. Okay, so Renee's asked, so can you expand about the debate of carrageenan and the inflammation and an eczema causes this? Put that on there. So, and I know what she's talking about. She's talking about some of the research that was done on carrageenan on, I think it was like mice or something like that. They did a lot of tests for cancer. They did tests, like all these kind of like tests to see how carrageenan can affect the body, and the results that they got weren't very favorable, so to speak. I still need to sort of do more learning in this area, but from my kind of from what I've read and understood, was that while these tests came out with some like questionable results on whether or not carrageenan is healthy for you, what they did also was that it was the way that they tested the carrageenan, and so a lot of people are looking at this report and they're kind of like saying, well, look, the carrageenan that you tested and did all this stuff, it was on processed carrageenan, carrageenan that had already been extracted from the Seamoss. And so when you use these special processes to extract anything, a lot of times these processes, they're not very beneficial to man. They're not. I don't want to say safe, but they're just not good. And it's possible that the reason why the carrageenan is having a negative effect on our bodies, causing inflammation and other things, is because of the way that it was processed using different chemicals and stuff like that. That could be still residue within the carrageenan, and that if they tested eating natural carrageenan straight from the Seamoss, or just the Seamoss directly, then would it have the same results? So you got to remember that when they're doing this test, they're only testing the carrageenan that has been extracted. They're not testing the full Seamoss with the carrageenan in it. So it's quite different. Like when you consume Seamoss, it's in a totally different state than if you were to. The carrageenan is a totally different state than if you were to consume it after it had been extracted from the Seamoss. I don't know if I explained that right, but to sum it up, kind of like, I don't believe the carrageenan, or from what I've read, I don't believe the carrageenan is bad in its natural state directly from the Seamoss. But if you were to eat, say, pure carrageenan that was extracted from Seamoss, that could possibly have an issue because of the way it was extracted. I hope that answers your question. But I did do some reading about that, because I once got into an argument where people were saying that Seamoss was bad and Seamoss does this, and people could die from taking Seamoss and all this crap. You know what I mean? And they were specifically mentioning, I think it was Echidna or something like that, as being not safe because of the carrageenan in it, and which I don't believe is the truth, right? I mean, with the amount of people that are taking Seamoss, for the amount of time that people are taking Seamoss, if there was some negative side effects or like bad benefits, then we'd be aware of them. I mean, like, we're aware that if you have issues with your thyroid, you shouldn't be taking the Seamoss, or you have to be cautious when taking it. So, it is. Oh, hang on, I think you did a follow-up question. Yes, makes sense. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm glad that I was able to make sense for you. Looks like the cloud is. Let me get up and just look quickly. It looks like the cloud is starting to clear up, but there's still some more clouds. I mean, this is the rainy season, and so you're gonna get it just rains all the time, as opposed to the dry season. You know what I mean? So let me know if you have any more questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. And because that's a good question. A lot of people are always wondering about this, like, oh, Seamoss is so good for you. What about what they say with the carrageenan? So I hope that brings some light to your carrageenan. I think anything in its natural state is definitely more better for you than something that's been extracted by man, if that makes sense. Good morning, Breast Cancer Journal. Yes, I'm enjoying beautiful St. Lucia. This is my, second day here, or is it my third? What's today? Tuesday. So technically it's my third day. Yeah, because I got here Sunday night, or Sunday, and then Monday was our kind of full day here. We chilled out and stuff like that. And yeah, today's like our first day, like second full day. Oh, nice. You were in St. Lucia 2 weeks ago. I hope you had a good time there and got to do a lot of cool things. I'm excited. I begin to think about what we're going to do while we're on the trip. I know I want to do zip lining. I know there's a few other things I want to do to get some good footage, But bringing back lots of good Seamoss. Yes, I always bring back Seamoss. Last time I was here, I brought pretty much my full suitcase. Now I have 2 suitcases I'm bringing back. So I'm going to bring back 2 large suitcases full of Seamoss. I might have 1 change of clothes in the whole thing. They're going to look at me like, what the? I'll be like, yo, bro, Seamoss done. Wagwan. Yeah, that's gonna be me. The Seamoss Don. Nah, I'm not a Don. But I definitely have a passion for Seamoss. I've invested a lot of my time and energy. Breast Cancer Joe says, yes, I always buy it from you. And thank you. I appreciate the business. We work hard to shouldn't even say we work hard. I'm more just the face of the business. My partner works hard, extremely hard. Him and his team, what I mean, they are some of the best. Um, whether they cultivate, dry, or like whether they harvest it or they do the drying themselves or they buy from other people, they know what to buy and what not to buy. They know how to like a lot. We reject a lot of SEMA because it needs to fit a certain standard of quality that the customers that are buying from us like expect, and it's consistent. And I mean, it's challenging, and I don't like to like promote it, but what we like to do is make it consistent for everybody. And so if you consistently like brown, darker sea moss, we can make sure you get that. You like consistently like the lighter, softer kind, we got that. You want that dry, brittle stuff, you know what I mean? That's great for making gel, we can get that. We get pretty much any sea moss on the island. There is no sort of like, there's no sea moss that someone has that we can't get access to. You know what I mean? And so you just need to communicate with us and let us know what your needs are. And our job is to work towards your needs and be that support to help your business grow. And as you grow, we grow with you. And we make sure that you're kind of supported on the way. And anytime you need any, I don't know, advice, pick me up, any support, I'm always there. Ask anybody. Call me. I pick up my phone. You know, I'll show you a message. Someone called me last night, messaged me at like 12:30 at night. Says, "Hey, I need this much CMOS. Can you do it?" Yeah, and I answered him back. I didn't look at my phone and be like, "Oh, it's after 12. Business is closed." You know what I mean? I hate that. You know what I hate? I hate when I go to a store. Two things I really hate. I hate when I go to a store and it's like say 2 minutes before they're closing and they want to get out of there and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we're closed. Can't help you." You know what I mean? It's like, what? Bro, someone comes to my door with money, I'm taking it. I don't care. You know what I mean? I'll actually tell you a little story that my uncle taught me, right? When I was young, when I was like 14, 15, I went to work with him, right? My mom had this thing, like, if you didn't go to school, you had to work. So I was one of those kids. It's not to say I was bad in school. I know it sounds kind of conceited to say this, but school was so easy for me that I didn't see it as a serious challenge. So I never went all the time. So imagine you have like you don't hand in assignments, you don't hand in you don't go to school all the time. You skip class and stuff. But when it comes time to do the exam and the test, you ace it. Boom. And that was one of the things that they always say to me, like, "What is it? Why don't you just do the work?" And I was like, "Why don't I do the work? I know the work. That's why when you test me, I pass." Like, why do I like you're asking me why I don't do the work? Why are you making me do the work when I don't need to do it? That's what I would say to them. Like, I already know the stuff. I answered it. So what is what I mean? But that was one thing that I learned about life was that or about school education. It's not so much what you're learning, but the process of learning how to learn that you're trying to grasp. Because if you can grasp how to learn anything in any situation, in any way, you can learn anything at any time. You know what I mean? And nothing can stop you. And so when I was going in high school, I focused more about understanding the process of learning. And one of the things I do look back and regret is like um, I now understand what the importance for those tests were, and or those assignments. It was just because in life you have assignments all the time. You have these tasks you need to do and stuff. And so if you're not able to prioritize your tasks or you're not able to manage your time and everything like that, then you're not going to get good results. You not remember me, but you dropped off the ski mask and Cyberlock seat to my sister in the East End. Okay, now I know exactly who you are. And in some ways I was like, You were in St. Lucia and you didn't get Seamoss for yourself? But no, I know. I hope you had a good time in St. Lucia with your family, breast cancer journal. And I hope everything's going with your journey and everything like that, and you're staying healthy. Um, so you know what? I was talking about one thing, then I got into another, I got to get back on track. So, talking about the two things that I dislike, I hate when I go to the store and they don't want. Oh, that was the story I wanted to tell before I got into that, and that is it. So when I was younger, right, I dropped out of school. Well, I didn't drop. Well, yeah, dropped out of school. They made me stop going because I wasn't going to enough classes, even though I was passing. But I worked for my uncle, and he ran a sewing machine shop, and so I used to at 15 at 15, I was managing a sewing machine store. So I worked there all day by myself. A lot of times he was in and out and stuff. So I would manage the sales. I would sell sewing machines. I would fix sewing machines, um, do all his like computer crap and stuff. Yeah, I was really good at computers. So everybody would have me come in and fix their computer and stuff like that. So I did that. So one of the things he would do, right, is he would come to me, especially always on payday, he would do this, and he would throw in an extra 50. Now, I love my uncle, and I hate taking from people that I love, or I hate taking things from people that I don't need from people that I love. So unless I really need the money, I'm not taking it. I'll be like, give it back. You know what I mean? Or at least at that time, that's how I was. Now I'm different. And it's because of him, because he would teach me this. He would throw an extra 50 or an extra 100 onto the bill or onto the amount that he would give me. So I would count it and be like, Uncle Paul, this is too much. Here's it back. And he'd be like, no, 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 that's for you. And I would be like, kind of like trying to be polite and say, I'm like, no, no, take it, take it, take it. No, it's not mine. I don't want it. You know what I mean? And then I would give it back. And then I would go through this series of remorse, like, why did I give that $100 back? He he just gave it to me. Like I should have just, you know what I mean? And I would say, and I would realize I would need the money for something, and I would come back to him and be like, "Oh, Paul, you remember that $100 you gave me? Do you think I can stop?" And he would be like, "Fuck no, it's in my pocket now." You know what I mean? He's like, "You had that chance to get that money, and you blew it." And so now, and he taught me this. He said, "Listen, anytime someone gives you money, you take it. Don't ask questions. Don't try to be nice, this and this and that, because you never know if you're really going to need that money. There's a reason why that person's giving you money. And just wait till you see what the reason is that you're getting it. And if you decide if you need that money for that reason or not. And if you want, you can always give it back. But once you say no, you can't go back and ask for it again. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times I just say yes to things because I want to see where it's leading to. And then I know I can say no and walk away. You know what I mean? Like just because you say yes doesn't mean you're committed for the complete journey. At any time, you can pass the chips and say, "Hey, look, I don't like where this is going. I'm out of here." You know what I mean? And so yeah, so from now on, I always take money. Anytime someone offers, and sometimes they look at me like, "Oh my god, he took it." I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" Because some people offer you money thinking that you're not going to take it. It's happened so many times with me. And then when I take it, the look on their face, like, oh my God, he took it and put it in his pocket and didn't even say anything. I was just like, thank you. It's like, what? You took it? This guy doesn't need the money. Why did he take the money? Because you offered me the money. And that's why I took it. And now I can decide if I want to keep it or if I don't. And I think, you know what I mean? More people need to take money when it's offered to them because sometimes you never know when God's trying to send you a blessing, and you reject that blessing and turn it down. That's I don't know. I don't know enough about God's word to say speak for Him, but I know if I was in God's position and I was constantly giving people gifts and sort of blessings, and they were turning around and saying, "Nah, nah, I don't need it. Nah, nah, I don't need it," then I wouldn't give you more, and I wouldn't make the blessings bigger because you don't need it. You know what I mean? So this is where I think sometimes God's saying like you need to put your pride aside. You know what I mean? Because when I was younger, with my pride, that was kind of saying, "Oh no, uncle, it's okay. I don't need it. I have money. I got saved." But a lot of times I did need money. A lot of times I was broke. You know what I mean? But your pride is worried about what people think and what they're gonna say. people know the truth. Even when you're how you say, you have no money and you're faking it, like trying to make people know. Not everybody, but there will be some that know, and they're not going to come to you and be like, "Hey, we know you're faking it, and it's obvious." And no, 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 no. They're just going to laugh at you behind your back. And so, I was having a conversation with them the other day, and I told them, I said, I don't want to have people have these kind of impressions about me, and I have kind of like no control over it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want people to think, oh, I'm tired. I forgot where I was going. Anyway, point is, take money when money is given to you. Don't turn down blessings. Decide later if you really want it. That's the whole point of what I was trying to say with that. So with that, getting back to what I was originally saying, which is the two things that I hate businesses do is, one, they close early because you never know. Like, a lot of times I'll come in the store before it closes and they'll turn me down, and I'm ready to spend like a shitload of money. And I'm kind of like, all right, next. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my problem. And so, yeah, these guys miss out. I always think, like, if I'm in a business, 2 minutes, as long as I'm there, even if the door is after close, I'll still take your business as long as it. And then, so what? I have to stay later, an extra 20 minutes. You know what I mean? But look how much money I made in the business. Like to me, your business never closes, never ever. No business ever really closes. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, you know, you always got to be available. So yeah, I hate that. And what was it? It's closing early. There's something else I hate. I talked about sort of shit. I forgot about it. So Renee's asking me to tell the story about how I got into Seamoss. And so I got into Seamoss pretty much like how everybody gets into Seamoss. You start taking it and you start liking it. And you start seeing the results and you become more passionate about it. But this is one thing I want to say that a lot of people don't really say, and I see it's something that's common with a lot of people getting into Seamoss. We all tried the so-called fake Seamoss, which I honestly don't think it's fake. I just think it's just commercially grown Seamoss, which makes it not the same. It doesn't look the same quality, and it's not dried to a good consistency or good moisture contact. That being said, it's still real Seamoss. It came out of the ocean. You know what I mean? I see where they're doing this. You know, with all this talk about full-grown Seamoss, and with the amount of Seamoss that we sell, the amount of time that I've been in the Seamoss industry, you'd think I would see even just like one operation operating. You know what I mean? That's how I know there's nothing there, because I don't know if anybody realizes this, but these guys that you think are growing fake Seamoss, they're not hiding the fact that they're growing that Seamoss. You know what I mean? Like, there's no operation operating on the cover of darkness. Like, shh, they can never know what's grown in a pool. Like, those companies that are growing in the pool, they're almost touting the fact that they're growing it in a pool, and that because in a lot of industries that's considered better. You know what I mean? It's safer. It's less pathogens. It's less this, more controlled environment. You know what I mean? From a commercial's perspective, they need consistency. So growing something in a tank or growing something in a closed environment is more desirable for them. And so these companies would be promoting this. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be hiding this. Only our sort of community has this negative notion towards fake Seamoss. Everybody else in the world, they'd look at you and be like, "What are you talking about? There is no fake Seamoss. There is absolutely no fake Seamoss. It's all Seamoss. It's real. It's not like it's made with a different material. In order for something to be fake, it has to be not of what it really originally was. That's what makes it fake. That's why a flower made out of plastic is fake. That's why, but a flower made out of a flower is not a fake flower. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was grown naturally in the waters. Like, that's how they do it. They just do it on a huge scale. And so when you're doing anything on a huge scale, the level of quality goes down. You can't give the same care and attention to detail as one would get when you're, like, say, harvesting Seamoss in St. Lucia. Harvesting Seamoss in St. Lucia is a completely different operation than, say, harvesting it in a country like Indonesia or a country like Vietnam or something like that, where they're producing this stuff on a commercial scale. Like these guys are producing it like by the megaton. You know what I mean? Like thousands of tons. Like you can order 5 tons from them. You couldn't order a ton from someone in St. Lucia. It would take them a month to put that order together easily, and you would have to know so many people on the island to get 1,000 pounds here, 500 pounds here. You know what I mean? To build that up to like, you know, 10 tons or whatever I've seen people like, offer like prices on. Like if you're offering a price on 5 tons, like if you buy 5 tons, this is how much it is, and then you're selling 5 tons all the time. You know what I mean? That means you have to have 20 tons. That's not possible, at least not now. Hopefully, we start building some infrastructure that allows us to consolidate the work in certain areas that are causing that is not causing, but it's what's holding the price. What's keeping the price high up here is because of the way they do things. Everything's done by hand. Everything's done like by an individual, and so whereas in a lot of these other countries, they're doing a lot of the stuff by machine, or they're just doing it fast and not really sort of giving that attention to detail. Now, that's not to say that none of their CMOS is like that, because I'm sure there are select small groups that produce their CMOS on a more smaller scale. But I want to say all CMOS coming from this area is bad. That's not true. There's a lot of people I know or I've spoken to in the past that have used CMOS from Indonesia, Vietnam, and other countries, and their customers are happy with their product. You know what I mean? No one's complaining. Everybody's. I mean, this is what I kind of struggle to be with. It's like, okay, so you get your CMOS from there, right? Great. A lot of people don't like it. Okay, great. But the people that are taking it and using it are happy with it, and they're getting results from it. So how is it bad? You know what I mean? Like you can't just come up and say this is bad without showing why it's bad. You know what I mean? If people are getting results from it, you know what I mean? So, I started with that bad CMOS, or CMOS that was bought at, Caribbean Corners or whatever. I had this lady, this Jamaican lady, making the CMOS for me. And so she was buying the stuff. And when I got more into the CMOS, I was like, oh, so, where are you getting your CMOS from, this and that? Because like everybody else, you start doing your background, you start realizing there's different degrees of quality. Now, in the beginning, I looked at the surface information, and so I had the same sort of beliefs as a lot of other people that are in the CMOS industry or business. Just about the quality of the CMOS, and it's coming from Vietnam, it's got to be fake or low quality or whatever. And so when I found out that that's where she was getting the CMOS from, and from my research, I found out there was better CMOS. I was kind of like, look, if well, I missed a step here. I found out some of the best CMOS was coming from St. Lucia, and I knew that I have connections to go to St. Lucia. I'm going there often, right? And I'm going to start going more in the future. So I said to the lady that was making the job, I was like, look, if I'm able to get you better CMOS, are you interested in it? And she was like, yeah, for sure. Because I was like, because how much are you buying it here, and how much are what quantities are you buying? And she's like, and this was crazy. She was buying 4-ounce packages at a certain price, and it was like astronomical. And when you add it up to the pound, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't even want to do the math, but it's a lot more. Let's just say that. And so she was kind of saying like, it's not really cost effective for me too much. If I could get it cheaper, it would be better. And I was like, well, maybe we can work something out because, I know if you get it by the pound, it's going to be a lot better and like better on the price. And I said, and I have a link to get it. I'm going to go and try and score some in St. Lucia. So the original plan for me was never to start a business on it because I just was in real estate. I was doing other things. I had a good life. I had no reason to get into CMOS. Like it's not like, oh, let's start this and lose money. Even for me at that time, I wouldn't say that CMOS was really trending yet. It was sort of like building that momentum because people were talking about it, was getting around. You know what I mean? My buddy told me about it. He was in England, and he was showing all these foods, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Like, you've got vegan on me?" And he's like going, "Oh yeah, I'm all Dr. Sadie, and this food is really good, and we're gonna do alkaline, and it's electrifying your body, and it was great, great pitch." So that's where I got trying the Seamoss from. Like, I always knew about Seamoss, but no one talks about in the community about taking it all the time, every day as a part of your diet. And so that's where he introduced me, saying, "Yeah, if you take this kind of like every day and eat it, just the raw form, not the drink, then you know what I mean. You're going to get a lot of nutritional benefits." So I tried it, loved it, blew my mind, and so I'm now asking this lady, like, if I can get you the sea moss, at a good price, would you take it? And she was like, "Yeah, hell yeah." So the plan was originally I was going to go down there for 50 pounds, and I was going to sell 50 pounds to her, or sorry, 25 pounds to her, and she was going to use that to make her business, and then I was going to give her 20, and I was going to sell her the 25 pounds at my cost, like whatever it cost me to go down there and bring it back. You know what I mean? That was what she was going to pay, and the agreement was I give her another 25 pounds, and that's the CMOS that, like, she makes my CMOS from that, and you just make the gel for me, right? So it was almost like the payment for making the gel was for her to get the CMOS for her at cost. And it kind of, I know it sounds complicated, but in the end, it really balanced out because basically she got CMOS at cost, you know what I mean? And all she had to do was make a guy gel, which she was already making, and she didn't have to use her own gel. The guy, me, would give her the gel, and I got free gel. You know what I mean? For probably like at least a couple of years, and who knows how long 25 pounds could last for. So I get down here and I start trying to locate someone that I can get CMOS from. Now, contrary to what people believe, there is no CMOS like guy handling CMOS like CMOS farms this way. They're unless you know someone, um, which at the time I didn't really know a lot of people, it's not easy to sort of locate these guys. Nowadays, it's different. We have the Seamoss Buyers Club. We have other groups where a lot of these guys are hanging out, and you can just speak to them. Like 2, 3 years ago, you could not. It was not to say you could not speak to a farmer, but it was very difficult to find direct farmers, right? Or very difficult to find people selling CMOS that can export it. Because here's the thing: not every CMOS farmer, not every harvester knows what they're doing when it comes to exporting. There's a lot of people that do stuff like they put the CMOS in the box and then they weigh the box with the CMOS in it and count that as your 100 pounds without reducing the box. Some put them in without even any liner, which is crazy. And if the FDA kind of pulls it in the box and sees that it's got no lining, who knows what they'd say? I know I wouldn't. I would be like, this thing contaminated. You know what I mean? Plus, if a box burst is open, which they do all the time, your sea moss is all over the freaking place, right? I've heard stories of people getting their shipments lost. You know what I mean? Because the guy didn't fill out the information correctly. All kinds of stuff. So you have to be mindful of that. So, hey, good morning, XLED. Yeah, so I had trouble finding someone. A lot of times, what would happen was people would come and they would be like, "Oh yeah, 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 I know someone in CMOS. How much you want at CMOS?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is." But I really want to meet the farmer and I want to talk to him because I want to know where I'm getting the product from and how it's sourced, and I want to learn all that kind of like issue, right? So they'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, no problem, no problem, no problem." And then they come back and be like, "Hey, hey, I got the farmer for you. Hey, what's up? So how much you want? Yeah, okay, what are you willing to pay for it?" I'm like, "What am I willing to pay? Why am I talking to you about this? Like, where's the farmer? I thought I was meeting the farmer." Like, like pretty much no one wanted to help me unless they were getting something out of it first, and they wanted to make sure what they were getting before they really put it was sucks, and it's like screw you guys. Like, what? You can't just show me something. Like, you have to make money from it. Guys, sometimes don't be looking to monetize every single action you do. Sometimes you need to just be like, no, I don't want to say generous, but just helpful to other people. You know what I mean? That's where your blessings are coming from, and they're not coming from these people. Like these people, when I help someone, I know more than likely I'm never. They're not going to get an opportunity to do something for me. You know what I mean? And even if they did, they might not, and that's okay. I'm not doing it what I'm doing for them to get something back from them. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I kind of got off track here. So yeah, the no one would help me find it, and then one day, um, I heard like a voice. It was probably the Holy Spirit just kind of saying to me, "Look, go rent a car." You know what I mean? Go call Nigel and go rent a car and see what happens. So I call Nigel. This is a friend of my dad's who rents cars. So I call him and I'm like, "Yo, I need to rent a car." And then the voice as I'm talking to him says, "Ask him about the farm and if he knows anything about Seamoss and he knows anybody in Seamoss." So I ask him, and he's like, "Yeah, I know a guy. He's cool. Blah blah blah. Introduce you to him, no problem." And I was like, "All right, cool, right?" He's like, "Yeah, this guy will help you out. He'll take care of you. Don't worry, he's a good guy, right?" And a little backstory is this is not my first time in St. Lucia. I come to St. Lucia a lot, and most of the times I stay in the north end of the island because my family likes to be in the resorts and stuff. And so to get there, you need transportation, and there's a guy that usually would drive me, or different guys all the time, right? So he sends the guy over, and we start talking, and we're vibing and hanging out. He's cool, I'm cool, la la la. We're getting the thing, and he starts like after we get it. I think we talked a little bit of Seamoss. He says, "Yeah, I'm gonna get the Seamoss, this and that." And then he starts asking me some questions, right? And he's like, "Hey, so you're from Toronto? I had a family that was here like a while back, a couple years ago. I don't know, maybe you might know them. Blah blah blah." And so he starts describing this family, right? Oh, it's this my guy. Came down with his sister, and he had two kids. And at the time, I'm like, it didn't really register. I'm just like, all right, I have no idea who the fuck this is. I have no idea who this guy is talking about, right? And then he says, yeah, and the mother was a social worker. And so my mom's like, she's not really a social worker. What she does, she works in the community. Um, she operates she works with a bunch of organizations that deal with youth mental health. So she helps people that are, dealing with problems, issues with reintegrating into society because of their mental state and the challenges that they have in life. You know what I mean? Basically her job is to help people get better in life. It's an amazing job, and she does it really well. Um, so I hate when I do this. I forget where I was talking about. Good morning, Matthew. What's up, Bull City? Um, but yeah. Now I remember. So he's like, yeah. This lady. It's just so. I'm like, that's me. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy you're talking about. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, like that's my mom. My mom's the social worker. My mom, you know what I mean? I go, I was here like a couple of years ago. He's like, really? That was you? And what's funny is because I think I had lost weight. I was really bigger before. And so that was the first thing he said. He's like, you don't look the same. You look different. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. Right. So anyways, we get to talking, and he says he can get the Seamoss in the vest. So we were like, yeah, I can check it out. And so the idea was we were going to buy some Seamoss, send it back, and see what happens, right? But when I went out and I started hanging out with the guy, we started talking to the people in the Seamoss and the connections. You know what I mean? And just the way he spoke to them and the way they spoke to him and stuff, I began to realize I was like, this guy has some links, like real, like serious links. And so I was researching the industry, and I'm like, people are crying for this thing right now. Like people are going bananas, and um, this guy is in the center of it all, and he knows everybody, and everybody loves him. So I was like, so I pull him aside. I'm like, dude, let's do a business. And he's like, seriously? I'm like, yeah, let's like start our own farms. Let's hire some divers. Let's start exporting the sea moss. You know what to do, and I know how to export it, and I know how to sell it. So I was like, you do what you do, and I do what I do, and we'll like make lots of money. And I wouldn't say we made lots of money, but we definitely have changed both of our lives for the better. And you know what I mean. I know my life has improved, and I hope that his life has improved too through Seamoss. And not only has our lives improved, but the people around us, the people that we work with, I'm watching their lives improve, and prosperity come to them and opportunity. You know, I have one friend that's like, you know, he's building a house off the business that we were doing. And what's crazy is before we started working with him, he could barely rub two sticks together. Well, I shouldn't say that because I don't know. But I'll say this: he wasn't building his house before, and he wanted to, and he wasn't able, like he wasn't in the position to do it. And then when he started working with us, suddenly he's getting these opportunities to make that happen. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I love about CMOS, and you know, I am so passionate about being in here. Is the amount of change that it gives people, and the opportunities that it can bring, and how it can totally change and affect their life. And for me, those kind of things, that's what drives me. That's what gives me like. That was why I was in real estate, was because I would get a rush out of watching everybody be happy, and seeing them in their new home, and watching their kids run up and be like, that's my room, and because I remember being a kid, and being exposed to new things, you know what I mean, and how I felt, you know. So Allison says, hey, look at you living it up in paradise. I know, huh? But it's raining. So, and check it out, I got my own private pool. Bomba. Simos live. Yeah, every room in this hotel has their own little private plunge pool, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, so that's kind of like the short story about us getting into CMOS. So from there, you know what I mean, it just kind of it just bred a life of its own. You know what I mean? We started shipping a lot of CMOS, and it just kept growing. My dad stepped in at one point, which was crazy because my dad, not to say that he's cheap, I don't know. I'm sure if I asked him for it, he would have given it to me. But there was a point where, you know, not to say we could either make or break it, but it was like at a significant point on which we leveled up the business. And my dad came in there with a cash infusion and basically helped us scale very quickly because, like, I don't know if anybody knows, but we started this business with like almost little to no money. You know what I mean? We did not have the money that I would have normally would like to have in order to start a business. We bootstrapped this thing, like, for sure. I was running shit off credit cards and transferring this and borrowing money for this and then and that. And so, you know, you you do whatever it takes to make whatever you need happen. And that's how we kind of pushed it through St. Louis. That's how we pushed St. Louis from Seamoss. And now we're on our second year, and like things are really opening up for us. And now it's getting into a position where we really got to sort of organize the team, organize the corporate structure, and stuff like that. Like I'm beginning to realize that because we're not at a certain level of readiness, we're missing out on a lot of opportunities that would have came our way. And so I I don't want my partner to miss out on these opportunities. You know what I mean? And so I want to make sure that our company is in a position so that we can grow with everybody else, and we're not kind of one of those companies that get like left behind. Like I don't think we need to be number one. You know, I'll save that space for someone else who wants it more. But definitely, we want to be in the top five, or we don't want to be left behind. That's for sure. That's one thing I'm going to make sure we never get left behind, and that we're we're leading in the pack with other people. You know, like I said, I don't care to be first. Sometimes first is not always the best. I prefer to be second or third, and especially in business. But it is what it is. You know. So I know that was a little long-winded story, but that's kind of a brief history on how we got started with Solution Seamoss Company and grew it to where it is today. Wow, that thing makes a lot of noise. I think I might even go in the plunge pool later. Let's see how warm it is. It's probably going to be pretty warm because the rain, the rain down here is warm, right? And so when you look at my screen there, a little dirty. So when there's lots of rain, obviously it's going to warm up the water. You know, what time is it? 7:30, 7:20. I wonder when everybody else is gonna get up so we can go to breakfast. I'm ready. I'm ready to go to breakfast. I'm ready to lounge on the beach. I'm ready to get my drink on. I'm gonna relax here for 2 weeks and not think about. Well, I can never not think about work, but I'm gonna try and do less work than I normally do. If that makes sense. All right, Renee. Thank you. Renee says thanks for your time and the great info. Enjoy your day at work. You know what I mean? Work really hard, and if you don't like your job, think of a plan on how to get out of it. There's too many people that are stuck in situations where they don't need to be, and they think that they're stuck there. They think that they can't get out there, but the reality is, you have not spent enough time figuring out a way to get out of it. You know what I mean? That's why you're still in it. If you were to devote enough time, who knows how much time that is? Just enough time to getting out of your situation, you would eventually figure out a way to get out of your situation. Partly the reason why some people are still in this situation is you say to them, "Oh, you're in this situation." Yeah, but there's nothing I can do about it. You know what I mean? I'm stuck. And then you gotta ask yourself, well, how much time did you really think about, you know? Because there's times where I said, well, did you think about this? And they're like, oh, no, I never thought about that. Actually, that might work. It's like, yeah, because you didn't think enough time. You know what I mean? Like if you spend 5 hours trying to solve a solution, you're gonna have a better answer than if you spent an hour trying to solve that solution. You know, it's just common sense. Yeah. So, brought a drone. I'm excited for that. I'm gonna take some really good drone footage. I actually had it out on the resort, testing it out, flying it out here, and it goes out. It goes pretty far, and so yeah, I'm gonna test it when I get back to my house in the south, and I'm going to see if I can. I think I might be able to make it to the Seamoss farm. It just have to be challenging because I'll have to get really low to the ground, like close to the water, so that I don't have to get subjected to the winds. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe on a day when, you know, although there's not too many days where it's not windy in my area. Pretty windy place. So, let me know if anybody has any questions or anything you want to know about me or talk about or ask about St. Lucia or Seamoss. You know, I had some fruit here. I'd bring some fruit out and get the birds to come and eat for you guys. That's what's cool about this hotel is that you can open up all the windows and the doors in here, and the birds will fly in and out of the room. Even some of the rooms, they're partly open concept where half the part of the property is outside. Um, the birds just freely fly in and out of the place. You know, there's actually a hotel. I think it's at Jade Mountain. There's a hotel in this island here that has no walls, or not walls. No, it only has three walls. It doesn't have a back wall. Your whole back is open to the elements and stuff like that. Like ultimate seclusion and I don't know, luxury would be the word. Mm. stretching and doing all this stuff. I'm still tired. I think I might take a plunge in the plunge pool just to wake me up because it is pretty. It's not heated, so it's you know it gets pretty cool in there. And I've been taking a lot of cold. I won't say cold baths because it's really I just go in the pool. I jump in my pool and I swim in it, and then the pool is not heated, so it's like 17, 18 degrees Celsius, and so it's pretty cold. Wakes me up. Oh, definitely puts a shock to the system. And so I would do the same for the pool here. I think shock wake me up, but I don't know. Curious what I'm gonna have for dinner tonight because it's today is going to be our first day of all inclusive. So we're just gonna eat, make sure we get our money's worth. Horrible. Gained so much weight. But I'll lose it. Once I get to Mola Chic, I there's a hill and stuff that I do a lot of walking with, and I'll burn all those calories off. No problem. Ugh. All right. Well, I don't know if I should stay on longer or just like call it quits and get ready. I think I'm gonna give it. I'll give it to 7:30, and if no one really comes on and wants to talk, I will. Excuse me. I will go back and I was gonna say go back to sleep, but no, I'll probably get up, get dressed, take a plunge in the plunge pool, and then read a book. I actually have a really good book that I want to read. Um, it's not by a really well-known author, but I like the title of it. It was called "How to Convince um, Someone Something in 90 Seconds." And so the reason why I got that book is because there's oftentimes, whether it's me or I see someone else, where you're in a situation where you meet someone and you have to sell them on an idea, you know what I mean? And, or you have to get them to be agreeable on an idea. And you got to be able to effectively describe that idea and be able to answer questions in a short period of time. Similar to like a pitch that you do on say Shark's Tank, Dragon's Den, or what most people would call like an elevator pitch. And so I want to get very good at being able to describe our not only our business, but what we're trying to accomplish with our business and what our goals are in under a minute and a half, and just be like, this is what we're doing, this is our plan, this is the because if you can speak, um, I don't want to say the word effectively, but if you can speak on a topic or a subject that you're proficient about and you know it and you're sort of like to the point, you're more likely to get a positive result. If you go back and watch Shark Tanks or Dragon's Ends or any of those shows where people are pitching their idea to someone else to get an investment, you'll notice that the pitches that do well or do the best are the ones where the story flows and it's information and it's the right information at the right time. If you do that in the right way, most time people will never ask a question. They'll just be like, where do I sign up? Because you've answered all the important questions. You've hit all the trigger points that are going to make them say yes. But if you come in and you don't have a plan, and you're like, well, I think I'm going to do this, and if this works, we're going to probably consider this, and this has this, and I'm not going to really tell you too much about it, but that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, the guy's like, well, what is this? What is this made of? How does this work? Why is this beneficial to me? Why do I want to sign up? You know what I mean? Sometimes people didn't even give a clear enough picture as why that person should invest. Like what's in it for them. They talk about is what's in it for the person that's asking for them. No one cares about that. No one wants to help you. They want to help themselves. You know what I mean? Or And I mean, as rude as it sounds, like I shouldn't say that. People probably do want to help, because I do want to help. But my point is saying, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, you need to come from the perspective that, like, no one's going to give you something for nothing. No one's going to do stuff for you for free. It's always you have to give them something, and almost like you have to give them something first. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what's called the law of reciprocation. One of the things that I do in business is I go out first and give something, especially if I want something and I'm coming into the situation that I want. I find out what that person wants and I give it to them, even before I ask for anything in return, right? Because now that I've given it to them, right, what they want, in some ways, the law says that they have to give me what I want. It's an exchange. You know what I mean? But if you try to give them something that they don't want, then there's no exchange, and they're not going to be as, like, yes, you know what I mean? And so I always try to say, okay, what do you want? Here's what you want, like, and I have guys doing it to me too, especially when they're trying to, like, pitch me for money and stuff. Because a lot of people are trying to invest in the business, and I tell them we're not taking investors. Like, we'll take a loan, we'll allow you to give us money and we'll pay you back, but there's not going to be some of this, like, you give me a certain amount of money and now you get to ride with us for the rest of eternity. You know what I mean? That's Zawa. That's not how I want this business. Like, we'll form a new business and we'll do that to eternity. But the journey, the St. Lucian Seamoss journey is really only meant for me and my partner. And I've been pretty adamant about that. I tell everybody that I don't want anybody coming in between us. I don't want anybody splitting us up. I don't want us to have to, like, fight over this other person that we brought in. You know what I mean? Me and him get along perfect, and I don't want any more cooks in that kitchen. We're already making a smorgasbord. I mean, we're making a fancy feast, and we don't want anybody coming in there and saying, "Oh, well, that's not how you do the temperature," and that's, I mean, like, you know what? Let us form a new business, and you can tell us what to do all day long, and we'll do it with happiness, or with I don't want to say pride, but you know what I mean. Like, we'll be gun ho to do it and form a new business, but to come into something that we've already built and we already have run. It's almost like, I don't need to be rude, but in a lot of ways, we don't need anybody. You know what I mean? We are where we are, and we might need to take a financial infusion for a bit, but we'll give that back. Because that's how it is. That's how it's going to be. And the rain stopped. I forgot what I was talking about already. Such is life. Mm. Well, I think I was talking about business and just giving people what they want and making sure that oh yeah, talking about, so getting back to what I was saying. So if I can learn how to effectively pitch our ideas to someone in under 90 seconds, that's really going to help us open up a lot of doors for us. Not only for us, but, like, for the people that we're working with and stuff. And, like, you know, we're trying to help other groups get formalized and, like, get into the industry. You know what I mean? And so one of the things I want to be able to try and do in the future is to be able to work with these groups, these communities, and help them to get funding, financing, help them to get the tools that they need to grow their business, so that you know um, they can work more efficiently, and so that they can produce more CMOS with less work. That's sort of my goal, like, I guess my personal goal to try and do for the industry down here is, let's try to work with people to help develop ways so that they can produce more CMOS with less work. Because part of the problem right now I see is that the CMOS is too low. All right, you need to be paying for the work that they're doing on in St. Lucia specifically, because I can't speak for any other island because I've never been there. But the work that they're specifically doing in St. Lucia, I personally believe that the price that we are buying CMOS at is too low. You know what I mean? And I feel that we need to be paying more for it. Now, as much as I like what I feel in a lot of ways is the market doesn't care. That's to them it doesn't matter. So I can't change what I feel or I can't change what it is. You know what I mean? How do I adjust it? How do I what can I do to change it slightly to make it work for us or for me or whoever? And that's where I came up with a solution where it was like, okay, if we can produce more CMOS for the same amount of work, then effectively they're not working as hard as they were before. And so the price of the CMOS can balance itself out. And so that's sort of my overall commitment to do for the next while, year, however long it takes, is to um, help St. Lucians communities build their um, build their organizations or their groups or whatever they have in such a way so that they can provide CMOS at a lower cost, right? And then by them producing the CMOS at a lower cost, it allows them to keep more of the profit that they have. Because right now, a lot of their profit goes into the different inputs that they need in order to produce the CMOS, whether it's like drying beds or ropes or gas for the boat to get out there. Like especially if you're a diver, and you're diving for this wildcrafted CMOS that everybody loves so much or whatever. Um, that's a guy that dives for that. He has to go down in the water. He has to, drive his boat out there. Gas is expensive. It's getting expensive more and more. So these guys, every day these guys are making less and less money, and they already weren't making a lot of money to begin with. So this puts a further strain on their livelihood. You know what I mean? And it really doesn't need to be that way because some of you guys are taking these products and you're paying, under $20 for it, and you're selling it for 90, 70. I see the prices. You know what I mean? And it's I don't want to say anything negative about it, but I'll say this: it doesn't have to be that way. Like you don't need to 3x your profit. You know what I'm saying? To make money, you can make less, and you can do certain things that will um, help sell the CMOS at a good value. Like there's some prices where we almost make no money on, right? But because on the other amounts, it balances out. It all averages. Some stuff you're going to have to sell for cheap just to get it out the door, just to flip it. You know what I mean? And by flipping it and selling that stuff cheap, and I don't want to say cheap, but giving it an affordable price, it allows you to buy more CMOS. And then, when you buy more CMOS, you can negotiate a better price. If you negotiate that better price, your price per CMOS gets better. One of the things I see happening now is people are buying 5, 10 pounds and they want to pay rock bottom prices. They want to pay the same price that someone pays if they bought 1,000 pounds. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that like doing that is just going to upset the market, and it's going to make it difficult for the farmer in the long term because it will create an unbalanced situation where supply is like the purchase of the supply is not consistent. And so you need, in order to grow wealth, you need to have consistent cash flow coming in every day. You know what I mean? If one day the money's there and the next day the money's not, it's going to create an imbalance. And if you're selling the CMOS for less, like say you're selling the CMOS for the same price that you're selling the guy you're selling CMOS to the guy, you're selling 20 pounds of CMOS to the guy for the same price that you would sell 1,000 pounds for. The guy that's buying 1,000 pounds is going to start realizing he doesn't need to buy all that CMOS because he can get it at a cheaper price, and so he'll just buy it when he needs it. Like what people don't realize is like a lot of these people that are the big buyers, they sit on this thing, sometimes for months. You know what I mean? So why tie up, 10, 20,000 US dollars for 3 months when you can spend $1,000 monthly, or a couple of thousand, and it works better for the seller. But what happens is that the supplier is not getting consistent sales now. You know what I mean? And the price is not reflecting the frequency. And so one thing people don't realize is that in any business, there's fixed costs. Okay, you have your rent, you have your this, you have your that. Whether you make a sale or not, these fixed costs have to be paid, right? And so let's give it in a month time frame. So how much money you generate in a month is going to determine how much profit you really make. Because if you generate less money, more of that money is going to go to bills than it is going to you. You know what I mean? And so you need to, stay ahead of that curve and sell enough to make sure that not only are the fixed expenses paid for, but that there's a little left over for profit, right? And if these guys are doing a sale once every week or every other week, or this and that, it's not consistent, and it's not going to help them. It's going to hurt them. So I have a lady with a 9-year-old child that has a low immune system, asthma, and needs iron. How much CMOS gel should she take, and should it be daily like adults? Okay, I'm going to give you a completely honest answer. I have no idea. Um, what I've seen is that a lot of times people who sell CMOS act like they're medical practitioners, and we're not. You know what I mean? I can only give you my um, advice based on my own experience, and my experience doesn't match up with everybody. So the advice I give might not. I'm just putting this little disclaimer because I feel like a lot of times I watch people and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, this is gonna fix it. It's gonna fix everything." And it's like you don't know what it's gonna fix. You think it's gonna fix that, but you don't know for sure. You know what I mean? And so, what my advice would be is that I would tell you to start small. Maybe take the recommended dose. They say 2 to 4 tablespoons. Try that for a few days, see how they react to that, and if they feel comfortable, increase the dosage. I don't think there's any sort of effective limit that you should take. I think that our bodies would let us know when we've taken enough and that we don't need to take as much CMOS. But I also think that you need to sort of monitor it, and you know, it's not something where the first time you take it, you take half a cup. You need to work up to half a cup so that you can take it. What's up, Kenya? Morning, morning. Let me see if I can get you to come talk to me because I have not seen your pretty face in too long. And this is one of the original OGs that started from day one with me. You know, what I mean, someone that definitely this business would not have happened without the support and help and just like generosity, like the things that he did for me. You know what I mean? I will never forget and always be grateful for. Just giving you your plug, bro. Good morning. Hold on, let me turn the volume up. My phone. Yeah, that's why I said I have to get this guy on there. Hmm. Hmm.
that I'm taking this Seamoss is going to cure me from that, you got to stop drinking. You know what I mean? In order to kind of find and see. So it helps in combination with a lot of things. Like, um, also, you got to listen, just like what you said, check what your body's telling you. Your body, if you start to feel nauseated, I've heard of somebody that this one lady, she loved the product, but she says she felt constipated all the time.
Really?
She says it's amazing, but she felt constipated. But she's more in tune with her body, so she stopped taking it. And I'm not going to argue with this person and say, you're doing it wrong, you should be drinking more water, you need it. You know, that's her experience. Like, some people will have sensitivity to certain things, you know. Um, and it's quite interesting. So, you're absolutely right. CMOS is an amazing product. It does some amazing things. I was having a conversation yesterday with my wife, and I was telling her, I said, you know, like, remember when we made that CMOS and used it for your skin? Just like the best stuff ever. When we put it in her hair, and my wife went natural 2 years ago, and in the middle of the recession, well, not recession,
It was felt like a recession. Like, geez,
right,
everything shut down.
that's what it feels like, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody lost money.
Right. She noticed her hair, the texture, everything changed because of the CMOS gel. So, you know, I guess it's like you gotta check it out. Like you said, you can start slow, a small amount, and see what works for you. It does work. It is a neuroprotectant. I've given it to my neighbor, whose mother had dementia, and it seemed like it really helped her mother, you know, to have less and less episodes. I know it works for me as far as like if I have joint pain or something like that. I'm like, you know what? It's probably time to go make some gel and incorporate that into my smoothies and stuff. And that you can instantly see the mobility. My father-in-law says the same thing. My mother-in-law swears by it. My mother-in-law actually, this is the funny part. My mother-in-law is supported Alexio for over, I would say, about a good year. Can you imagine? I used to see the thing. I'm like, why are you going to this? I was like, oh, just like, I just like what it does. I'm like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you know what? His gel. I haven't tasted his gel, but when he's talked to me about his gel, like they spent a lot of time perfecting the gel, and it's almost like his recipe. Because even when he talked to me, he's like, bro, like because we were talking about scaling at one point, and he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. How am I going to replicate this? Like you have no idea how hard it is for I think he said he spent like a month teaching his staff how to make the gel the right way, like like it's perfection. And that's something like battle last night when we were talking late last night. He sent me a message of this dude. I'm not going to say his name, but some dude is out there basically, and I get it, his marketing tactic or whatever, but he's using the transformation, he's using that company to basically say, well, they sell theirs in an 8-ounce jar. This is the price. Here's mine. It's much better. And I almost want to call the guy and be like, bro, like, you have no idea what yeah, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, first of all, yes, you're giving more CMOS, but have you tested his CMOS? Have you even tried his CMOS? You have no idea what his CMOS tastes like. And yet you have the audacity to say, my CMOS is on the same level as his. You have no idea. Yeah.
My mother-in-law, and believe you me, if there's anybody that, I'll take my glasses off, if there's anybody that's close to what's going on with CMOS, I am one of them people,
Yeah.
right? And good God have mercy, my mother-in-law loves Alexio's Transformation Factory
Yeah.
product. I am not, and I repeat, I salute him. And that's why that time I think I sent you a picture when I went to her house.
Yeah. It's like, damn it.
Like, look.
But that could have been you.
And that's, but at the same time, it works for her.
Yeah.
It worked for her. She loves the product and it works for her. And so, that's really what you get into. Is like, hey, if you take the time and build your product, I'm not a gel selling person. I don't do that. So, and for her, it's easy for her to take it. I've tasted the pineapple one he had.
Was it good?
At her home. It's good. I can see how people just go in. It's easy for them. They take a tablespoon. So take it and they're done. And she loves it. And when she sees it going down like halfway, that woman go buy another 3 bottles just like that.
Boom, boom.
Yeah. Bottles at a time.
And it works. And this, you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. Like, if someone's happy with your product and it works, you know what I mean? Like, how can you criticize like what he's doing and stuff? Yeah, and not only that, but like, dude, like, I'll say it, like, his company compared, like, what he's doing compared to like what like that company's doing is like night and day. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not shipping your product 2 days FedEx on a sub-degree temperature plane to make sure that it stays frozen the whole time. You're taking a risk. You know what I mean? You're not automatically reshipping out Seamoss the second the customer calls and says, "Hey, I have a problem." Boom. He's like the Amazon of this gel, and that stuff isn't cheap. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And my mother-in-law is one of those funny people, man. Like, and she is so much an advocate for Transformation Factory that if anybody wants Seamoss, she actually promotes him more than she promotes me.
Yep. And that was a smart thing.
She would say, my son-in-law, he goes, yeah, but just like, you want the gel.
You want to try the gel. You can't go wrong with the gel. Yeah.
And I think that's the beautiful thing. And from that, she has now started to expand her knowledge on naturopathic foods. And that's all that we're talking about is naturopathic foods. We're talking about nutraceutical science. Like, learning about Seamoss is great. Like, it opens up a door, and and from our private conversations, like, good God, imagine when they learn about some of the other things that is available,
like moringa.
But like, if your kid, let's jump. We should drop some gems there. But you remember you sent me some raw cacao.
Yeah.
And cacao affects your serotonin and your dopamine levels. And so if you take just a couple of grams of that raw cacao that's available on St. Lucian Seamoss, our website, that stuff can be like your little espresso shot in the morning.
That little mind pickup.
You remember that time you were trying it and you grated some and had it with, I think you even had it with damn soursop leaves.
Oh yeah. So they make a cocoa. Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say they make a cocoa tea down here, and that's what they add. They add bay leaves and soursop leaves to it, and they boil it with some star anise and stuff like that. And that's how they make their the cocoa tea. And they grate the thing, and then they put either like condensed milk or like if you're vegan or whatever, you put coconut cream.
Right. And you can make a really dope morning espresso. You'll find that your levels are elevated because, like the cacao, the raw cacao is good for your dopamine and your serotonin levels, because there are people that suffer seasonal depression. I think in the UK we used to call it sad disease. It's a recognized thing, and this cacao is good for that.
I never knew that. Yeah.
And so you can make yourself some chocolate tea, and have that in the morning, like you said, with the star anise, with the cinnamon, all of these really powerful botanicals, and that's a whole nother conversation. You know what I mean? And it's still so much products that people could actually put together that's from that Seamoss. It doesn't have to look at the people that are now doing the Seamoss lemonade. I think I saw recently.
Huge.
I saw somebody on the Facebook group. They were doing the fruit juices with Seamoss.
Yeah. So I just want to give a highlight to that because I'm really happy with this guy. This is a guy, Kobe. Kobe, I don't know his last name, but if you go on the Seamoss buyer group and find he started in this business, you know what I mean? He came a little off in the beginning, right? But I'll say this. He came back and he showed like I don't want to say respect, but manners. I'm a big guy on manners. Do you know what I mean? And I never felt he did anything wrong, but the fact that he came to me and kind of said, I'm sorry or whatever he felt he did wrong. I was like, bro, you didn't do anything wrong, but showed me a lot of respect of who he is, right? But he's helped a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? Like one lady the other day posted that she made $1,400 in sales in one day selling his lemonades. Can you believe that? And people were crying about the fact that he was selling them for $50. Can you believe that? Like I was so and dude, the guy called me personally to kind of express, and he was not happy. He was hurt. So imagine you're trying to sell a business, you're trying to get into this community, meet new friends, sort of show who you are. You're a good person, and all you do is you get shitted on. Oh, why are you doing this way? No, you shouldn't be charging for that, and blah blah. Like just shut your mouth. If you don't like it, keep it to yourself. Go tell your friends. Do you know what I mean? Don't come here or tell them in private or something like that. Don't try and shit on people's businesses because you don't agree with it. There's a lot of businesses I don't agree with. You don't see me coming in and telling people how they feel. Sorry, rant done.
No. Because you remember that time somebody came up with that dehydrated powder or concentrated Seamoss powder, but they put concentrated lemon or lime and ginger, so it's like a powdered drink. And I was like, that's freaking brilliant. And then you heard somebody going on about, the acid with this and that and the other. And this is the thing. It's again, there's a lot of people in this health space that make a lot of claims. And even when you are presenting them with the truth or some valid information that can be verified, not just by you, but other sources, they still choose to kind of back up that argument. How many times have we had conversations with people that claim that this is better than that? Because mine grows on the rocks. It's like they don't know or understand copywriting, digital marketing. So it's almost like the style that they've learned in marketing their product is by bashing another person's product. And unfortunately, that's not a sustainable business model. The product sells itself, in all honesty. And because there's a lot of not just hype, but valid information that's been kind of proven. And the more people spend fighting somebody else, they miss opportunities to kind of come in with their own lane and really find their market. Like, if I was today to, you remember I experimented, I think year before last with, I called it T-Moss, right? T-Moss for Seamoss, T-E-A Moss. And I did the cucumber, and it was like a cucumber punch, I believe was the flavor.
Yeah, the watermelon.
Ginger, and it had the Irish moss gel in it. I'm gonna say this to people. That one product, I gave it to the mover that moved us. It was hot here in Georgia, and I gave him a bottle. He was like, "Yo, this is amazing!" Like, man, I was like, here, just put in the truck and and you have that. And then I remember I did sell it for probably like about I would say, was it about 6 weeks? I think I sold that.
Yeah, a few weeks. Yeah,
It wasn't a long time.
less than 2 months.
But like trying to get labels that wouldn't smear when it's wet and refrigerated,
Yeah, all that shit.
and stuff like that. And we were in the midst of the pandemic, so the supply chain for a lot of stuff was very limited at the time. And but in one day, I remember, I think I sold like about $450 worth of juice.
One day. Wow.
One
That's crazy.
day.
That's crazy.
And I think at the time, all I did was take a picture and I put it on Instagram, and I took a picture and put it on Facebook, and that stuff, bang.
They're all like, "What's this? What's that?" But as you're talking, I came up with an idea, and that is like, why don't you do what Kobe's doing, and start selling the recipes, because you have lots of recipes, you have lots of products that are great.
Do like who's doing?
Kobe.
Okay.
Or no, you know what? It's not Kobe. I lied. It's G. Allen. I get them confused because they're both very similar. So there's a guy, G. Allen. He's selling Seamoss lemonades and teas, and he started selling them at $50 for the recipes. Now he's selling them for $100, and he's created a group where the group kind of meets and talks and communicates and stuff like that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So again, for me, I'm not a person that's likely to sell my recipes.
Why?
But I tell you what, though, I think if you have an idea and a product and a method, and because I think I saw some people complaining or saying, "Why would I do this?" or whatever. Don't be mad at that person that in turn then has a viable business because they invested in themselves and the craft, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like for me, in the beginning, I remember I paid a graphic illustrator. I can draw very well. But again, don't be mad at me that I have digital assets that look like they were created by a professional. Does that make sense? And it's the same thing with these individuals that support. And hey, I want to grow my Seamoss business. I just don't want to sell gel. I have the capacity to do other things with it, and they pay for it. I think that's brilliant. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with it, and this is going right back to what we were talking about. Find your own lane, and the thing that I can confirm, and I will say this, and this is one of the reasons that I wanted to jump on. Despite everything that people may say about you, this was a business that was granted by the Most High.
Facts. Total facts.
Okay. And I wanted to really put that message out there. Me seeing you again sitting in St. Lucia, it just reminded me, and us having morning chats at sunrise, looking at the beauty and the splendor and the garden that the Most High has created, and talking about the benefits of a product that we're very familiar with ever since we were young kids. And then finding an opportunity to make that product more available worldwide. And the way that everything transpired was by design. And so, and as for that, we give thanks. More people are talking about Seamoss than ever before.
Ever.
People have access to it and premium quality. They have how can I say it? They got the plug, you know what I mean, to get access to it. They don't have to worry about some of the stuff that other people may have experienced before. How do I get it? Is it this? Is that? They have a consistent product available. And there are, and you and I both know there is a lot of aches and pain in trying to provide consistent supply of a product.
Yeah, any product
At a particular quality, especially quality that you desire to have available. The logistics of it can be a lot, and so to God be the glory, and it's a beautiful thing, and here it is on the other side of the pandemic. We've seen, just how it grew and how it's not even slowed down. I wanted to share something with you, and I think, and I'm always ready to drop the one here. If you have our water chance.
Yeah.
For those who think that this is just a fad, at the end of 2021, the search for Seamoss and Seamoss gels were increased up by 350%.
Wow. That's crazy.
This is according to Pinterest. Go and check it out. Google it. Don't believe me? Google it. Between 2021 and 2022, I think the search results for Seamoss and Seamoss gel in 2022 was something around 3.7 million. Versus 2021, it was 2.1 million people were searching for Seamoss.
Wow, almost double.
So it's almost double, and it's still a viable marketplace for you.
Huge.
You know what I mean?
Huge market.
And it's huge, and it's only gonna grow as more of us embark on it, and God gives us the green light, and we move in this direction. I can't wait to see some of the innovation that people are going to continue to come up with, and I'm just grateful to be in this spot to witness it and to be like a OG or Godfather, or and also facilitate a connection for people. It's a beautiful thing, because look at where it started and to where it is now. That's why I jump in continuously on the Seamoss Buyers Club on Facebook. If you haven't been on there, check it out. I'm one of those people. I thank you for allowing me to be a gatekeeper on there.
I trust you.
Come in and add clarity. I like to applaud people for the innovation. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Look what God has provided.
Dude, and truly, like, the more I think about it, I'm gonna get emotional right now. So I hope I'm just preparing you guys. But it has 100% always been God's plan. Right from the moment that you told me, you remember talking about this Seamoss years ago when you were in UK.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And you, not to say that we always knew about Seamoss, but you kind of turned me back into it, and you started talking about the, that was the catalyst. That's what set everything off. Do you know what I mean? And I think that one of the things, I'll tell you a crazy story about that I don't share with a lot of people, but I have a friend, she's passed on now. This girl was like an older lady. She was like one of my best friends from church. You remember her, right? Jennifer. This girl was 70 years old. And I'll never forget the Spirit, Holy Spirit speaking to me. And he said specifically, he goes, you take care of her and I will take care of you. And when I trace back a lot of the things that have happened in my life where everything is good now, a lot of it stemmed from her, from being like, she was the one that introduced me to the gel girl. Remember when you said you got to get on the Seamoss and try the gel? I seeked her out. She did. She's the one that introduced me to all the people with the bees. I prayed to God, right? Because I wanted to get in before Seamoss. I'm a beekeeper now, but I really wanted to start a business with honey. And I prayed to God. I said, I am having such a hard time getting into this space. All these bee places are so far away from me. I have to travel like 45 minutes. I'm like, with my schedule, I could never do that. Can you believe that she introduced me to a lady who had bees next door to the building that I was living into? How was God, only God can do that kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? And even like how, you introduced me to it, then I met this girl, then I go down there, then I meet Ashen, then this happens and that happens, and all these other crazy. You've seen some of the stories where I told you, all this thing, like, you know what I mean? Like, how am I, and what I'm beginning to see now is that I feel like God has a big plan for us, and He's assembling like a team of us. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can really see a team, like a power team of powerful black men forming, and us working with each other to be alpha males. And what's crazy is that many people that I see forming in this group, they've all secretly come to me and said that this was a desire in their heart, that if they could have like sort of like you know like what do they call it? What's a DC comic, like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen or something? You know what I mean? And yeah, and we all help each other, and even though we compete, like, I watched this thing on Snoop Dogg early this morning, where he was talking about how, him and Jay-Z and Nas, and they all competed with each other. Nas puts a banger out and he's all like, oh, who's that producer? Get him on the phone, I'm doing this next. You know what I mean? And me growing up, when I was doing DJing, that's what it was like. Or even skateboarding. I used to skateboard, right? Yeah, yes. So all that stuff.
You're the wakeboard king, I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mr. Abby, how you doing? How you doing, my dear?
Good morning. But yeah, so I see big things happening for all of us. I really do. I think we just got to get ready. Some of us are more ready than others. Some of us need to kind of like, I know there's a lot I need to do. I think that there's certain things that I need to fix in my life or change. And when I change those or implement them, then like the doors will open. It's almost like He hasn't given stuff to me that is waiting for me because I'm not ready for it. So
I'll be blowing kisses at you.
Yeah, I'm like, who is this? It's not your wife. What's up with that? I'm just messing around.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible when we look like the plans that He has for us, and even like the people that begin to assemble. And I think that's the thing, that's the message that we're going to continue to stick with. I don't care what anybody else has to say about me, you, what we've done. I've seen people say that, oh, we sell fake moss. I see people saying that because ours is farm, is this and that and the other, or they try to, like, we've never ever hid from anybody the source of where it comes from. That's number one. Be honest about where your product comes from. People are now starting to see that the way in which the Seamoss is harvested is sustainable. Mm-hmm. We're not damaging the coastal ecology of St. Lucia by having this infrastructure in place. The other thing, I've got, do you know that seaweeds and sea mosses and algae and stuff like that, they attribute 70% of the world's oxygen production. Mm-hmm. The rainforest produces, like, I think it's around about 20 or 25%. The other 5% comes from other sources. Mm-hmm. So even us having like an infrastructure in place, it's like it's just even to offset.
Yep.
It's a positive business model.
We need to put more Seamoss in the ocean, not less.
Absolutely. So, when we talk about what's real, like, other people can say a lot of stuff and they can make a lot of claims that it has 200 and something mineral Phoenix. I'm not taking shots at anybody. I could be messy, but I don't want to be like that this morning. All right. But we're not focused on those things. We are truth seekers. We are truth hunters, and that's been the beautiful thing about this journey, is finding out and uncovering. And as we uncover new information, it's like, yeah, look at this, everybody, and sharing that information, especially on the platform, the Seamoss Buyers Club. So I'm really grateful to see you returning.
Thank you.
And I'm now trying to figure out how to get down.
You got to try and get down. Even if you can come down in like the next 2 weeks or something like that. Like a lot of us are going to try and meet down here. And we're going to do some filming and shit like that. Should be cool. But it's funny when you were talking this stuff, something that came to mind, and I just want to put it out there. I feel sorry for the next person that comes to me and tries to tell me that I'm in this for the money. Because I'm going to freaking let them have it. I'm going to destroy them. Flip out.
Like, there are a lot of things that take place behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. I'm going to encourage you on here is I know you're a very private person and you don't often share publicly what you do privately. But I encourage you to do a lot of recording, if permissible, and go into like the community, the fishing community, and it. I know what the door. I know. I've seen the videos. I've seen you also helping harvesters that don't even do business directly with you. You know what I mean? I've watched that, and is just continue to do stuff like that, because at the end of the day, the truth will stand. You know what I mean? Like that's the beautiful thing about the journey. It's a righteous, God out there and pure vent, and you to be a part of it, and be proud of the fact that you've been an ambassador for St. Lucia. Be proud of that. You've been for that community, your soil, and be unapologetic about the message that you have, because it's not for profit only, you know what I mean? And I think that the beautiful thing, and people are gonna always have something to say, and they always will holler at the moon. Dogs bark at the moon and holler at the moon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let the light shine so that man may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. And that's all we can do. Let your light shine, and when your light shines bright, it's gonna draw the attention of people that get the message, and it also gets the attention of people that are gonna try to deconstruct or to criticize you and stuff like that. Let your light thus shine so that man may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. I know how much changed.
Yeah, I guess I should. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of times it's like, first of all, a lot of times these things that we do happens quickly. Like there's a need, we satisfy it. That's it. And we're not doing it so that we can go back and say to people, oh, look what we did. So in some ways, I'm reluctant to kind of do it, like, because one, I don't want to put these people's businesses out there. You know what I mean? It's not like they gave me permission to tell their story. And then two, I'm not doing it so I can tell a story. You know what I mean? I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do, and that I believe that God has put us on this mission to do those things. Do you know what I mean? Like, in some ways, the business is the gift, but the work is helping the people to get that gift. Do you know what I'm saying? And so if I know that if I don't do these things, when they sort of come, they're presented to me or try, then either I'm not going to learn a lesson that I'm supposed to learn, or I'm not going to get a blessing that I'm supposed to get. A lot of these things are tests to see where my true heart is, who I truly am as a man. You know what I mean? Am I going to do this, or am I going to think for myself? You know what I mean? And so those are the kind of things that I try to think about when I'm deciding whether or not I should help someone or not. Because some people come to help and they don't deserve it. You know what I mean? And at first you think they do, and then you realize you're like, fuck, this guy's just a snake. You know what I mean?
And this is the other thing as well, like that I've learned in this space is that, you know, that you've helped a lot of people. I've tried to help a lot of people and give away a lot of information, a lot of insight, because we're familiar with these naturopathic products. We're familiar with nutraceutical science. You've shared stories about your nan and your experience growing up, and I've shared experience of my nan and growing up in Jamaica, and and both come very rural, humble backgrounds, and we've been familiar with this stuff all our lives, and so imagine for somebody to take your information and they allow that spirit of capitalism to rule them. And we've seen where we've fostered relationships with people to help them to grow, and there is no loyalty in it, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're okay that people have, because our destiny is not based on them. Our destiny is on what we do with what God is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, irregardless of whether my phone keeps like it's on the table, so that's why it just keeps like doing this, right?
Yeah, you wonder what's going on. I had to bite. I invested in a whole like here, I'll take it off and show you.
I got one in.
I got the whole selfie stick with the rig, and I got a new laptop. So yeah. All thanks to Seamoss,
Absolutely.
Yeah, Seamoss is beautiful.
This is really great, celebrate, because this is roughly what, 2.5 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, well, actually it's going on 2 years now. So we started the business in May 2020.
These conversations.
Oh, yes, they've been just about 2 years.
And talking about the Seamoss and because that started before the business physically launched. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And look at what God has done. Open up a whole industry. You remember how hard it was to even get into the circle with those individuals that were part of the growers?
What?
You remember the original growers and harvesters in St. Lucia?
Oh, okay. So you know what I was laughing? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you up. I was laughing because I thought you were going to go into about the Seamoss Buyers Club, and because there was clubs before, groups on Facebook where you had to be.
You could get anybody.
No, they wouldn't let anybody sell and that stuff.
You couldn't contact anybody. You couldn't have a conversation remotely with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like people don't understand. We've been at this for a minute trying to. Don't make me have to go inside the box. Oh, this is Georgia, man. They got some bigger. But trying to reach out to, and there's no disrespect to them, because I know that they don't necessarily have the capacity, but the personally brothers and sisters that run that whole enterprise. It took, I think it was 6 months before I got a response from somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And now look at it by your light shining. You got a lot of growers and harvesters that have now created their own digital platforms.
So that was part of the point. Do you know what I mean? Like, so when a lot of the sorry.
Like, look at it. Oh no, you got them actively, in your inbox and saying, "Hey, I've got this deal, I've got this deal."
You remember?
The direct to consumer model.
Mm-hmm.
No shade thrown at we're tired of people taking what comes from the Caribbean and then acting like it's theirs. How many people have you had to kind of like check about beating down the farmers on their prices? You know, and like, no, that's not a sustainable way. And because of that, you know, we're seeing like, and people don't even realize how much you advocated for them, even though they may look at you as direct competition.
Well, you said it before. I'm a disruptor, and one of the things that I know that I did was I disrupted the industry where before it was very, and it wasn't difficult. It's just a lot of the people on the island did not know how to independently sell. And so we showed the way on how, like, a lot of people saw what we were doing and they're like, wow, okay, let's copy that. And I'm so excited and happy. Like, to me, it's a blessing. You know what I mean? That, yeah.
It's not just for, because like the thing about nutraceuticals and naturopathic science, Seamoss is one part of it. You know, it's beautiful, but the amount of, like, when you showed me the list of products and herbs and roots and oh my God, it's endless. You got to do this if you screen.
The scrolling.
You know? And so imagine how that's going to benefit a whole nother bunch of people that's going to be able to share the insight and the expertise. And imagine if this model, like, and then the funny part about it, the model that was shown and by, how, what I said, let your light shine, that man may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. They will either see it and then, oh my goodness, I could have been doing this. Look at Vincentians. Shout out to the Vincent people. Like, out there pushing the product now, direct to consumer. People that, because like the EC, St. Vincent, St. Lucia falls into, but like Antigua, Grenada, you know, Guyana, all these are hopeless because of collapse in tourism, the collapse in the tourism dollar in the middle of the pandemic, and they returned back to, like, one of the guys that jumped in the Seamoss Buyers Club was from Backway. Backway is downtown Kingston in St. Vincent. Backway is not bush, but it's like, it's out there, right? Country. And for this guy to literally put together a whole thing and present his product like direct to consumer, you're giving that individual hope.
Yeah.
Calamity, you know, and that's why what different. You know what I mean? Like, our inspiration doesn't come from man; it comes from God. It doesn't come from man. It's designed by God, and man just have to open the eyes and walk into it. And the fact that we trust the Most High and do business. And remember what we said at the beginning. You and I had this conversation. It's like, we don't want to do business. We want to do what? Godly business.
Yeah, God's work.
Godly. And there are some losses in that. However, look at the outcome. You know, look at the relationships that have been formed. Like, and I know you always share exactly what's going on. There has been some big deals that have been on the table, and some big deals that have just flew right off the table too. You know what I mean? But at the same time, staying consistent. And salute, man. Salute to you know, program, the work that's been done. I've enjoyed being a part of it. I'm glad I got a chance to see it. And this disruptive model for empowering our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, showing them how to have direct to consumer relationships. I've been grateful to see how being a disruptor, you have a platform for our brothers and sisters, and now you're seeing people not only selling Seamoss, but I think on Seamoss Buyers Club, somebody saying, "Hey, I got roots herbs and stuff like that."
Mm-hmm.
You can bypass GNC. You can bypass some of the big major brands
Mm-hmm.
and come direct to Seamoss Buyers Club and get a contact. And if they're full of foolishness, guess what? We gonna talk about it.
Mm-hmm. They'll get checked.
In fact,
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you have a great experience with them, jump on Seamoss Buyers Club and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this person with done all direct to consumer relationship, guess what? It allows them to now have a larger presence. Don't worry about, I'll keep the plug to myself. We don't do all that kind of foolishness over here. And if anything, we're gonna introduce you to because let's take for example Transformation Factory, right?
Mm-hmm.
You shared some stuff, some nuggets, right? And he created his own little platform. Do you know, I learned copywriting, digital marketing,
Mm-hmm.
through the whole media space,
Mm-hmm.
and being in relation with you.
Mm-hmm.
I have that skill. I'm a 50-something-year-old scientist.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I've some new skills in this digital marketplace that not only can help me in this lane, but can also help me in other lanes. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm coming from, you will find your niche.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drop their Seamoss ice cream that is widely accepted and looked for by other people. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All the people dropping Seamoss gummies. We're seeing the Seamoss tea. What about the people that are using like a stabilizer in just
there's a Seamoss fat burner cream.
Right.
All these are coming out of that group.
Right. My wife's auntie was like, "Hey, you got any more of that Seamoss water?" Because I took the Seamoss water and I'm gonna drop another gem on her. I used raspberry seed oil because it's a natural sun protectant, and I added it to Seamoss water along with argan oil, and from that it was hair spritz using the Seamoss water after you soak the moss. Using
Wow.
to condition your hair, almost like a shampoo conditioning agent. Bro, women that are having those little alopecias from the tight braids and stuff like that.
But even here, this is alopecia right there.
And then also the natural environmental toxins that are floating around. Bro, you use that on your skin and in your hair and all of that kind of stuff. And that my wife's auntie is always bugging me. Can you make me some more?
Yeah.
Imagine a shelf-stable product. And people don't realize conversations that I'm privy to that we had the other day. What were we talking about? How do you make a product shelf-stable naturally? Remember we had
about a few times.
Making shelf-stable products naturally. And guess what? As we find out and grow more in this space, and because let your light shine, man may see your good works, glorify your Father in heaven. There are people that are now drawn into this space that has that expertise that can say, well, Jules, this is what I've been doing. Space that I see already happening. Look at the network, the core network that we've got right now. It's crazy.
It's gonna get crazy.
Before, my goodness, in celebrating 2 years of operation, wait till you see what the next 2 years is gonna look like. It's gonna be epic. And we're all brothers that have banded together. And it's a beautiful thing,
It is. And one of my goals for the future is to build this mastermind team that I see forming and to use it like for all of us to better ourselves, to all of us to like ride on each other, to really push each other. And then like, 5-10 years from now, we'll be able to go on these like, like book a jet and do some $1 million things, because it's just starting with CMOS, bro. Like you touched on it earlier. There's so many other herds. There's so many other potential for other products and stuff like that. And as the space grows, what?
That I don't hope you don't mind me sharing this. Just like the conversations we had about visiting the EC. And yes, we're advocates for St. Lucia, but there are other Eastern Caribbean countries. Like tourism and traditionally was by the big hotel chains. The hospitality is world's largest industry, right? Or second, I'm not sure. It's either first or second according to statistics. So imagine you're not going to like a branded hotel, but you're coming out to the rural areas and us connected with, these growers happening in Jamaica right now. And us and turning around and saying, hey, this is a place. They understand customer service. They understand data protection. They understand, you know what I mean? Making straight and there's no tearing or ripping off thing and stuff like that. And imagine people coming to St. Lucia, not just for the Seamoss, but for the experience of, having a mineral bath soak, having, imagine some of the young girls from those rural communities that turn around and learn about certain type of healing massages and stuff like that, and offering services to people. And like people have no idea just the scale of what we've been looking at, and what freaking great Seamoss, you know what I mean? Bosses, Seamoss drink, the infamous drink, you know what I mean?
He's got his Moss love potion.
Yeah, his love potion, or you can imagine, in addition to that, you come in and unplugging and having a realization that, you know what, I'm doing too much over here. I need to focus, or even come in and using that location as a hub for your ideas and create, where you just, let's get on a plane, let's go to St. Lucia. I know that guy that's on the TV with the bald head, he's here saying St. Lucia, this, that, the other, and they've got a space. Remember we talked about the geodesic domes? That could be a nice space for creativity, recreation.
I'm looking into that. Dude, I'm one of the things that I plan to do when I'm here. I'm meeting with a buddy, a guy that I met, who I honestly truly believe God like fucking brought him to my face, brought him into my life. Because imagine this guy is like he's in his like 70s or 60s. He's an older guy, man. You know what I mean? And he's of a certain culture. I don't want to describe too much, but there's certain cultures, there's certain groups that don't mix with other groups. And so he's in a culture, in a group that really does not mix with locals, right? They stay away from them. That's just the way they are. And I don't think he's like that. But the point is, this guy just kind of showed up in my front door. Like I walked out and he was there in the truck, and he came and talked to me, and he was looking for this guy. His name was like Nonas, some important guy. And he proceeds to tell me about how Nonas was there, always there for him. Nonas always helped him. And, he needed this for that. Nonas gave it to him, blah, blah, blah. And turns out this Nonas guy was like my relative. He was like married to one of my dad's cousins or something, who lived next door. That's why he came to the house. Then he starts talking to me, finds out I'm a real estate agent. And he's like, well, I got all land to sell. I got land all over here. I got land, like all over Molashik. He's got land he wants to sell up in the north, Kappa State. He's got tracts and tracts of land. He's like, I have so much land. I don't know what to do with it. I just want to get rid of it. I'm sick of holding on to it. So imagine this guy comes out of nowhere and he's calling me like we're buddies. Like he knows my first name. Like when I call him from Toronto, he's like, hey, Julien, what's up? And when my partner was like, you met that guy? and I would play him some of the conversations that we had, and he's like, what? He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, bro, he's like, see those kind of guys, they don't talk to us kind of guys. That's what he pretty much said. So he said, if he's talking to you, that like, don't fuck that up.
And that's the most high moves, because you got to remember there have been times where you've done stuff and there's been no quote unquote
expectations of a return.
Right. And the flip side of it is it's your character that's being exhibited, you know. And so people can say whatever they want. You know, we know what we are as men, and we know what we're responsible for, and we trust, like I said, the Most High. And so people can't be surprised when we have these levels of interaction. But you were telling me the story of quote unquote Alexio, right? And brought that to my attention. And almost literally, the moment you mentioned it out of your mouth, next thing I know, you and him become friends.
Crazy. Like, but even just, him, you know. Like, yeah, I was gonna say, even with him, how? Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Like just that.
But that's the thing. You know how I met him, right? Yeah, I was giving out free coaching calls, and he called to get or free calls on scaling, and he called me to get us, and that to me says a lot. I was thinking about the other day, like, you know, in my life, when it comes to finding people's characters, a lot of times it takes one or two things that you do that I see that just sets you apart from everybody else. And for him, it was him calling me and asking me for advice when he didn't really need my advice at all. Do you know what I'm saying? He was doing way better than ever. You know what I mean? He knows he was doing amazing. And so to call me and say all that stuff is like, wow. Like, you know what I mean? And I'll add this. Nobody could ever talk shit about that guy in front of my face. I will punch I'm letting the internet know. I will punch you in the face, literally. If I'm in the room and you start talking shit about that guy, I will set you straight, because I've had conversations with him where I've got to know a lot of people don't know who that guy is. And if you knew who the guy was, you would have a lot more respect for him, and you wouldn't say shit about him. You just let him do his thing. You know what I mean? Because he's a really good person. He has a great heart. He's done a lot for a lot of people, and he deserves everything he's getting. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, no one talks shit about that. Last night, someone sent me this thing about this guy comparing his Seamoss. I was ready to just go on that guy's thing. You know what I mean? And if it was like, you know, I'm just trying to control my emotions there. But it's because we're new friends that I don't want to just jump in and be like, because he'd be like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? But at the time, I wanted to shit on that guy and be like, bro, your fucking Seamoss is garbage compared to this guy. Like, how dare you? Yeah, sure, you want 32 ounces of crap versus eight ounces of perfection. How do you compare that? Like, sorry. I don't know if the guy's Seamoss is crap. Yes.
You know? Like, bro, like, just a whole different level. And this is the thing, like, people be surprised how, you know, people you would think were in competition with. No, we're not in competition. We're all about the same common good.
Yeah.
So we don't look at competition, you know? We, as what can I do for you? Should this happen? What can you do for me? Should this happen? That's called, brothers, let go egos and let's get on to doing good business.
Good. Goosebumps. Bro, if I have to tell you one of my biggest regrets in this business was not taking your advice to reach out to Ricky sooner. You remember you said it in the beginning, and I schlepped it off. I was like, you know, and I mean, part of it too is I was still new in the space. I didn't know a lot of people. I didn't know what was going on or who to trust and who not to trust. And quite frankly, I didn't trust anybody. So for like when you made the suggestion to trust someone, I was just like, no, I'm just gonna mind my business, stay in my lane, and when I see the bigger picture, then I know I can step out. But definitely, the friendship that we've developed with Ricky is priceless.
I'm feeling emotional.
Yeah.
So dope.
He's a really good guy. He's always had my back. Anytime I need it, he's like, "Don't worry, bro. I got you." You know what I mean? We'll sit on the phones and talk shit for hours and just laugh and joke about this or that situation. you know, I.
To you, Rick, salute. You know,
Mm,
yeah, and the thing is, it's like, and I can feel like the presence of the Most High as we're talking right now. Like you
yeah,
said, how you got the
biggest
goosebumps.
bumps. That's why I'm showing you.
You know, it's like that's how we know we're doing good business. You don't see trail of destruction. You see fruitfulness. You
Mm-hmm.
know, as in these last 2 years. You know what I mean? And because there's fruitfulness, we know that we're on the right path. You
Mm-hmm.
know, or it's like we engage with other brothers that we don't know. We never knew Ricky like that. We
No,
didn't know like that. You
no.
know, and just all of the warming and so you know it's a celebration day. You're back home, and I just couldn't help but jump on and just to celebrate this day with you, man.
Thank you.
The balcony is certainly upgraded.
yeah. Well, I'm only here for 2 weeks. Then you're gonna get the old balcony back. You know what I mean? As soon as the family goes, it's right back to poverty.
You know,
This is only for a season.
right? Upgraded, you know, but it, man, like we had some amazing conversations. You know,
Mhm.
you still gave them.
Huh?
You have these conversations.
Do I what? Sorry, you were breaking up.
Live from 2 years ago. Are they still available?
Big five?
No, lives.
So you know, every time you say the exact word, it cuts out.
Okay, so you remember the previous lives?
Yes.
Do you still have them up?
Yeah. So I have the lives from. I archived all the lives.
Okay, you know what might be really dope is just like start chopping down little snippets, also like a snippet of
Yes.
some of the lives, like some of
Yeah.
the those like jaw drop moments, you know,
Mm-hmm. It.
and just make them available.
No, I
You
have
know,
to.
if I,
And it's
you know,
funny. It's funny you say that because that was what Alexia was saying to me the other day. Is like, bro, you need to get and show the world who you are and what you're doing, and you have so much good information and stuff like that. You know, even if you could take these lives and put them down into smaller digestible chunks because they are long. Who sits there and watches? Look, we've been talking for two hours and 15 minutes.
like right.
Yeah.
Long form content is good if people got time. Like if you're running your own business and you're packing your orders and stuff like that, and have it on in the background, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like there's some nuggets, there's some deep nugget in the previous lives that where we've had the beauty of having conversations. You know,
Yeah.
and shout out to all the people that participated in previous lives. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of vendors, a lot of gel makers, and stuff like that. And you know, we've seen some of them go on to do some incredible stuff. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you remember that one particular person here in Atlanta? Yeah, you may not do business with me anymore because you've gone somewhere else, but you know what's cool? I watch you grow. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I watch this grow. Hey, naturally me, I
Welcome.
proof off minute. How you doing? Bless up. So you know, it was really great to see them venture off, and I think right now they import a lot of salsa, like fresh salsa fruit,
Oh, really?
and it's available and offering salsa. juice, I believe, you know.
You
And
should
so,
put them in touch with Ricky. Ricky's always looking for a link on Soursop. We're always talking about that.
okay, okay,
Like,
I'll jump on because I've been away from social media for so long, and people like Jules will tell you, I am not this social media guy. I am the ghost. I am the background phantom person.
do you know how hard it took me to get him to come and do this, like to show his face on Instagram? Like days, I'm like, come on, man, let's do. That's how I got you. Was on the live streams. I pressured you into doing it. Peer pressure.
So, but this has been good for me. It's helping me to come out of my reclusive sort of nature, and I'm not there yet. You know, I'm still, but I've grown. You know, it's good to take in some new elements and teaching me how to do things such as like I didn't know how to do copywriting and digital marketing. I'm a scientist. You know what I mean? That's my lane. I love my lane. You know, so it's really that you know we can see the evolution of us as men. You know, in this digital space. You know, I would say this much. Stay tuned. If you haven't already joined the Seamoss Fires Club, stay tuned. Like I can't say this is gonna happen next week or guess what, you all tune in next month. But a lot taking place in the background.
Big things.
Like, and I just think the platform where you all can come and learn, ask questions without fear of being demonized by the typical angry. Like, can I touch on this for a second?
Yep.
Like, be plant-based, spiritual, and so blood angry all the time. I don't get it. You know. You got all this good, healthy
hormone imbalance.
But you're just angry. Your spirit is off, man. We fight against that. We don't want any of that in our platform space. We be able to come in and ask questions. Promote your product. Promote your product in that space. Because the thing about it, as we try to build a community, Julien is not the leader. You know, I'm not the leader. The creator,
I don't want to be the leader.
He doesn't want to be the leader. I certainly don't want to be on social media. But in time, you know, who is going to be that person that will really like come into that space and really provide that, hey, this is such and such, we're going to chop it up, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's just endless. And the amount of connections people are making. Because you have some direct-to-consumer relationships with some of the harvesters on that same platform. Why is there so throttling, like the posts get throttled or deleted and all of that kind of stuff? If you're a person,
bro, the amount of people that have banned me on that group, and it's my group. You know what I mean? Like they get mad at whatever I'm saying because they don't like, and they're just like blocking me, and I just laugh because it's just like, okay, whatever, bro. Like, you know what I mean? But yet you're still here using me. You know what I mean? Like you're using the platform, but you don't want to hear what I have to say. You know? Sorry, I just had to jump in there because I find it funny that like that's the one thing I won't do is like that's another reason why I'm worried about putting moderators on, because then I can't control what they're moderating, and they you know, they might not moderate in the way that I want to. And really, everybody should have a voice to say, unless you're saying something completely fucking left field or way off. You know what I mean? They're coming to tell me to go to breakfast. I know it. I can see them moving around. They're gonna be like, "We want to go for breakfast. We're hungry." Watch, see, any minute. Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
I heard you talking about me.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't specifically talking about you, but just predicting what was going to happen. So, what are you coming out here to say to me?
Nothing.
Oh.
I just wanted to see what you were saying about me.
Oh, I was talking about breakfast. I was like, they're coming here to kick me off so they can go eat breakfast. You want to say hi to Kenya? Come in. You can say hi. Come say hi to Kenya.
Hi, Kenya. How are you?
What's happening, sis?
Not much. Just trying to enjoy this beautiful resort.
Enjoy. Hey, you know what's so funny, man? I won't say it on live, but you know how sometimes we have some funny moments we can think back and laugh about.
Yes.
Like, check this out. Remember when yeah, Otis was like a baby and we did the painting?
The painting of the
Oh,
house.
the painting.
Remember?
When I went to Vancouver and you guys painted?
After it was done.
And we did it like the night before after we got back from a nightclub.
I expect more from you, kid. It's good to see my family, man. It's my family, so it's a beautiful thing, you know. And just like again, like what people gotta understand, this is a family-run business, my family, and it's all of the whole St. Lucian Seamoss company, the Seamoss Fires Club, you know, all of this stuff is about family. And where you may not be physically related, you are family. You know, and we're continuing to build family connections and hopefully build family wealth.
That's so true.
Absolutely.
But spiritually and emotionally. So that's the beautiful thing what we're about, you know. So love you like cook food, you know. I'm here, trying to enjoy. Like, see, I got that view like you all, but I'm trying to sit here in my backyard. I'm like, I'm gonna sit off and enjoy my.
Let me see your pond. Show us your pond. There you go. There you go.
I think we've seen it on that episode of what was it?
House Hunter. I showed her the House Hunters episode.
For pushing me to be a little bit more open and less private. That was hard. To this day, I wish those episodes would disappear. You know.
But how many people have actually seen you watch it? Like, has anybody said, "Oh, I seen you on House Hunters"?
Imagine I went into a high school because what some people don't know, I've been teaching physics and environmental science in the high school system, Gwinnett County Public Schools, and I walked into a school, and imagine a student said to me, "You look familiar," and I'm like, "Yeah." They said, "You were TV." I was like, he just said that public officials, I know your face once they hear me speak. I had a woman stop me in a supermarket when she heard me talking and said, "You on TV?"
Yeah. Because you do have that unique accent, you know? You have a unique accent, so not many people have that Bermudian accent. Yeah.
So people have noticed, or they hear me talking, and they're like, "Wait a minute, I think that happened in Target," you know. So it was quite an experience, you know what I mean? So yeah, God is the greatest. That's all I can say.
God is good. He is.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Look what a little man can do for you, huh?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I can't wait to go and like reconnect with the plant. Like if I could go right now and go in the water and go hunt for Seamoss, I would be doing that right now. Yeah, just living in the water.
Did some work the other day. I had a problem with that's the point. My catfish is in here struggling. I know that much. I gotta go do some work with it.
Yeah.
He's fine. Yeah, he's fine. And I'm about to redo this whole pond. But you'd be proud of me, man. I've been doing some planting. I've planted some what you call these things? Hydrangeas?
Never heard of it. But it looks good. The backyard looks good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's nice cut grass. I see she got you working.
Yeah. I've been doing some reseeding. I did some concrete pavers for rubbish bins, keep them behind the gate. So I got a lot of plans, a lot of time. We're planting hostas and stuff like that, and I've got to buy some more mulch and lay some stuff on. So yeah, just little by little, my friend.
You have a list of stuff you got to do, Kenya? You have a list that you have to complete. Your wife give you a list.
I burned that list. I'm like, I can't read. Suddenly, I don't know how to read. It's like,
Actually considering doing some trying to grow tropical fruits and veggies here in a way that still is appealing.
you should do it.
I remember I did a paper on container gardening, so I'm thinking of creating like some raised planter beds. But I went to have a nice Victorian sort of scale to it.
Well, when are you leaving? Right now? Sorry,
about 10 minutes.
we'll wait for me when I'll go. Sorry, remember I told you about the breakfast thing? She probably heard me talking about it, so she didn't say it on camera. But as soon as she left, that was the first thing she said. She's like, "We're going for breakfast," and basically saying, "We're leaving you."
Just real shout out to Katie. Katie, I don't know if you're still on there. Give me a shout, Miss Katie. It'd be good to catch up with you. I don't know if she's still on there, but that's my girl. This Scarlett Johansson. I'll never forget it. When we were working together in Newcastle, people actually thought it was Scarlett Johansson and thought I was her black bodyguard.
That could work though. You know what I mean? You look like you could be that bodyguard type.
Right, and then some people thought I was Cedric the Entertainer.
Yeah, 6 feet tall. Okay. Yeah.
Like, it's Cedric. So they thought Scarlett Johansson. I was like, let's see if TMZ picks this up. Scarlett Johansson seen hanging out with
Cedric the Entertainer.
Okay. So yeah, that would be a funny story, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Other from that, man, have a wonderful day. Let me know if just shoot me a text if you're gonna go live again and anything in particular you want to talk about.
Okay.
Just let me know and I'll jump on and we can have some good chats like we did before and leave some jams and stuff like that for people.
Let's do it. Yeah, I might do it tomorrow. For sure, I'll probably do it the Wednesday. I'll do a morning.
And you about like Seamoss, even just business. What is it? What are some of the things that you can do with it? Connect with us. You can catch St. Lucian Seamoss Company on Instagram. You could log in with me on this page. I don't think I'm on Vegan Electric this time. I think I'm just on Zacharias Francis. But yeah, check out the Facebook group page. Ask some questions about Seamoss. What is it? How can it work? And I see a few people here from the UK on here. Get connected, man, because like there's a woman in London that was recently selling Seamoss. I know Bari used to do it a lot. But Bari is a fashion designer, and so her focus gets pulled into her
clothing.
Collection, so she won't consistently be in our space. But this one lady in Southall, which is near Heathrow Airport, that woman was moving some Seamoss gel. And I believe recently she was in the hospital, so her whole unit has shut down.
Wow.
And that means that we don't want, like the things that we're focusing on is how you can optimize and automate your business, that even when you're not physically there, your business can still flourish and provide you a sustainable mean. Like that's the kind of things when we talk, Julien's talking about scale. How do you scale it? Because up to now, a lot of us have been hustling as business people. If we're still got to be there every day, it's still hustling, But when you have systems and procedures in place, And that's one thing I can give you like some real strong credit for. Connect with my boy because he will teach you how to put systems in place. That's what this guy does. He understands how to put systems in
I
place.
try to understand. Don't make me sound like a super expert.
No, you know how to put a system in place.
Yeah, I know how to build businesses.
System more efficient.
Yeah.
You know how to streamline so that you can have more available resources for yourself. Because let's give an example. One little simple thing you did saved, let's say, in one month it saved, I'm gonna say around $600, right? And imagine repeating that every single month, right? At the end of the year, what does that equate to?
Yeah, like over $7,000.
Okay. Now, if you want to get on a major stage with marketing, how much would you say is a good start to get one? And I mean, optimize marketing, not the little $200. Like
you should be comfortable spending anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 US a month.
There you go. So there is one little simple system, one little simple jam that you are able to share with people on how to streamline here so that you have the resources to expand your business.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of breaking bread and hanging out. And there's no fee for you to be a part of Spires Club.
No.
Or
that being said, I am thinking about starting a club, like a paid club, which a large portion of the money will go to supporting farmers in St. Lucia and other countries. But it'll be a club where it's more like, you'll have preferred pricing and you'll have inside information, and I'll go in and discuss things in more high detail than I would online. You know what I mean? Because if it's more of a closed group, like I'm willing to show people like what I spend on my ads, what my ads look like, what we wrote it on, da 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 da. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? But I don't want to do it to the world.
Little simple step, like, and people gotta understand one thing I've known about you in the numerous years that I've known you are an entrepreneur, and so understandable digital marketing. But I won't go much, but like, bro, it's levels to it, and so connect. You get some free jams. You got some what they call it free 99. Information definitely, and your contribution, you might turn around and inspire somebody with what you're doing, and that's the basis of the Seamoss Best Club. So I hope to see you all hanging around there and contributing, not just being a wallflower.
Yeah,
but contributing.
I think that's the best value that I can give is the inspiration. Like I may not have all the answers or all the knowledge, but I can definitely inspire you. I can definitely plant a seed in your head and show you that it's easier than what you are perceiving in your mind.
Absolutely. But then look at it like this here, the inspiration part of it, right? It's like inspiration is actually, I'm going to share this with you. Inspiration is actually God downloading a idea for you that's unique to you. Yes. It's for you. And then time for you to be around people or get resources that help you translate that inspiration. Does it make sense? That is God. Like you can have a conversation with somebody and you get that inspiration. That's God downloading His body. You know how the Bible says, I know the plans that I have for you, the plans to prosper this, that, the other. Like that's okay. You're making a step. I got some inspiration for you.
That's exactly what it is. I believe that. And I believe that God has given me that power to help inspire people. Like I believe that my duty is to talk to people and drop seeds in their minds so that they can grow and move to the next level. and that there's times where people are in my lives just for that purpose, because I'll do what I do and then they're gone. And so I'm not to say a traveler, but I'm often traveling through people's lives, helping them uh, break whatever, like level up to the move to the next level through their mindset.
Because sometimes just that little piece of hope for that day,
Is
like
what they need.
you know what it's like to have a business not do great. You know what it's like to have this, and sometimes, like Bible says, "Will overcome us by the blood of the Lamb, power of our testimony." Like your story is the word, man. You know what I mean? Like your story of overcoming adversity. Like you remember you've had conversations with me, like, listen, bro, like, why you giving up? Like, don't give up in this space. Like you're still here. You know what I mean? You're still standing.
But
that means you have resiliency, and you sharing that little bit of insight, and then sometimes you give an example of a specific instance that turns around and are like, you know what, he's right. I may not get it that same day, but it could be the day after or whatever. I get that inspiration from you. I'm going with it, and I'll try it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the beauty of the space. You'll connections with people that, should hopefully bear some fruit in your life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. I was saying to a friend the other night, it's like and you know this for sure. I've tried so many businesses. I've tried to do so many stuff that it's like in my nature. I said, like, I know how to make money to the point where it's just, to me, it's just like rubbing two sticks together. Fire. You know what I mean? And then we go from that. And so I employ or encourage everybody to try and go out and develop that skill, because you develop it from trying. So just try as much as you can whenever you can. You know what I mean? And that being said, I see that my family has so they're monitoring the conversation. It's like, I thought you were ending the live stream. You're still talking. Yeah. Thank you. I'm starving too. I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go and enjoy my breakfast this morning. And you will catch up later. Thank you for all those that have watched us for the last 2.5 hours or more, listening to us ramble and talk shit. Anything you want to say before you go? Yes.
And let me know if you're gonna jump on again and if I'm up and got the capacity. We'll jump in and like those times say
like this. Yes, it was beautiful.
Like the victory lap.
Yes.
This is the victory lap. So that's what we should call it. This is the victory lap.
For sure.
2 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Senpai. This is the victory lap. And that doesn't mean that the race is over. This just means for this trial, because what they call track meets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so for this version of the track meet, this is the victory lap. 2 years, we're still here, still standing.
That's it. And we're still growing strong. We're just getting started. That's what I say. That's my new thing. We're just getting started. That's it. Warming up.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. And I look forward to doing this again with you soon, man. All right. Bye, everyone. Take care. I'm going to end this. Which wrong button? No. All right. Thanks again for joining and listening and watching. And I'm going to try and do this tomorrow morning, especially if the weather's good. I'll be here for sure. All right. Take care. And don't forget to take